Um,
Yeah, welcome everybody. Sorry, a few minutes late. Slight technical hits on my end, but all sorted here. So welcome. And Joss, I'm so excited about what we're going to be chatting about this morning.
yes, this is our AP Connect Train the Trainer in advanced practice. Morning, everybody.
It's great to see names coming up. We can see that we've got 9 people watching already. We've called this program Northstar. You know us and our sort of, fanciful titles, but they have a reason. I think one of the reasons why people are so attracted to our program is that we are about trying to do different things, not just doing the same things differently, using the same old language. North Star, that's the guiding star, isn't it? And we have put together a program that will help you now begin to take that responsibility for training APs, for engaging and motivating and creating the conditions for advanced practice that we've been finding out about. You will take that now into your organization and put that training together. And what we've tried to do is really put together a space that will enable you to do that in your own way.
Absolutely. I mean, we grappled in terms of, what does that content look like? I really wanted to go back to our popular 3-day advanced practitioner program, which we delivered in 2018, face-to-face residentials, which I know many of you had been involved in. But actually, as we're looking at exploring content, the purpose of the program, we've actually parked that, and this is much more focusing on the facilitative skills, the process, as opposed to perhaps the content, because participants will have been on such a journey with us. So this is a very different focus. And it's quite an exciting model in terms of, we're looking at a 3-day program, Lou, 2.5, 3-day program.
Yeah, I would say a 3-day program, and we've tried to make sure that not all of that compels you to be in a certain place at a certain time. It's funny because I was broadcasting this morning on the Joy AM broadcast, and inspired by a conversation I'd been watching, I was thinking about initial teacher education. And of course, this is initial AP conversation, the training that you're going to be doing, and thinking about what's really needed, not what have we ended up with, but what's really needed. And there is something about, we've learned so much about advanced practice over the last 4 years, and we did 2 research projects last year that again taught us so much. APs, we have learned, are those places of judgment and influence within an organization. APs are the people who are able to look outside, get their strength, get their energy, get their ideas, get all sorts of learning from other people's practice, bring it inside and know how to apply it in that particular context, and know how to influence people to make that happen, because advanced practice has a lot of gatekeepers. That's really quite a role, isn't it? So we realized that we didn't need to teach you stuff. Actually, all the stuff is there ready and waiting for you as PD1 of the Northstar program. What we then give you space to do is, when you've processed that stuff, thinking about your context, we're going to come together in a thinking environment space where you will both learn the thinking environment practices even more deeply, and you will be able to think about how you're going to apply that stuff. So the program then becomes bespoke to your organization, rather than the off the peg that actually really worked for us as part of AP Connect a couple of years ago. I mean, we don't even know if that would work for us now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when Lou talks about that stuff, there's a hell of a lot of stuff that we have curated, we have created, actually co-created with yourselves over the past 4 years. And we're going back, and we've got one of our colleagues, Colin Forrest, actually tasked in terms of telling the story of advanced practice. And he's curating that for us. Is going actually right back to incorporation days and bringing us back to where we are now. And we've got you'll be revisiting spots and places around the incorporation days, right through to the Tyler et al. Research, which in 2017 was published and formed quite a pivotal part of the work that the Education Training Foundation used as a springboard for the design of the advanced practitioner program. But moving on from that, you know, the toolkit, we've got that the various guides in the toolkit, including the manager guide, which is our latest one, or you'll be navigating through all of that, but also the research, the AP Thriving or Surviving, which took place during the pandemic. Goodness me, God, it seems like it's been with us such a long time, this pandemic now. And interesting, the other thing we are including in that story advanced practice is the Education Training Foundation's OTLA research practitioner reports, which you may have come across, published this year. A beautiful Claire Collins and the team call their Rainbow Book, an anthology of practitioner research. So this will form the story, the stuff, and from that we'll move into the, fingers crossed, face-to-face space with Lou and Bri.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope so. And then the third part of the professional development will be more ideas room training, because we have really come to see the power of ideas rooms to be able to bring a group of APs together. So we're looking at ideas rooms being really central to your practice and wanting you to be like super confident with facilitating those. And that will be on a day where the other half of the day is training that we have commissioned from Katina Barrett of the Women's Leadership Network. And Katina is going to be looking at intersectional accessibility. And essentially, that is making sure that everybody is invited to the party and welcomed in. And we, again, are using different language for that, recognizing that it is, you know, perhaps going beyond inclusion, which occasionally, well, not more than occasionally, can be a little bit tokenistic. We're looking at, you know, not just how do we offer that welcome, but how do we tailor what we do to make sure it's genuinely accessible for people across a range of identities. None of us are single people identities. So I think Katina's session will be challenging. It will be interesting. I have known her for 30 years and I've never been in her company and come away without my head absolutely buzzing. So that's something a little bit different, because what we know in FE, we know that the student population is incredibly diverse. And we know that excuse me. Yes, it's a bit of a coughing household this morning. We know that the tutor population is incredibly diverse. And as we climb up the ladder of leadership in FE, we know that the diversity in all sorts of senses gets less and less and less. Right, APs, you are there in the middle, making sure that it's not just the usual suspects who become part of the AP team or part of the advanced practice experiences. And hopefully Katina will give you a good boost to be able to get going with that.
I'm really looking forward to that that input and that content from Katrina there, because it's an area which, in terms of intersectionality, inclusion, we explore, but we don't really put a magnifying glass on. So this is and I love learning from the experts. Yeah. So I'm really excited about this partnership, actually.
I think it should be really good. I mean, just looking at one dimension of difference, just one. When I spend time in women's leadership spaces, I'm a minority white face, and I absolutely love that. And that's not an accident. That's the work that the women's leadership have put into intersectional accessibility on their programs. And so what I love is not just that we are learning from the experts, we're learning from experts who also run a professional learning network in the FE sector, as with drawing on the OTLA Rainbow Book work. we've gone out and we found who are the other people who are working. Let's not be in competition with one another. AP Connect has always been anti-competitive. We really work at that. We really work at bringing together these networks, other organizations working in the professional learning CPD sector, so that we are bringing our best rather than butting up and competing with one another. That's been quite new, but the willingness and appetite for that is amazing. And we've learned that from AP, because that's what you do.
Absolutely. And really echoed in particularly, I'm thinking, Lou, in Christina Donovan, in Colin Forrest, and the co-evaluator practitioner research, this idea that if we're to keep in a space which is re-energizing for ourselves as individual practitioners, which nourishes, which just holds that energy and that innovation, then it's so critical to look outwards. And the research, the term that was used by Christina and Colin and colleagues was the term of knowledge exchange is so important. That externality, facing outwards, going outwards, learning from peers, other organizations, what they do, in order not just to bring ideas back and not just to pop group think, but just to re-energize.
Yeah, absolutely.
And therefore that's how that the organization benefits from that practice. And it's really interesting to hear you talk there, because it's almost mirroring that externality. So coming out, learning, co-creating, taking back in again in order to refresh, re-energize, stay on that cutting edge of practice.
Absolutely. And knowledge means so much more than stuff. You know, knowledge is sitting and listening to someone about their experience of trying to do something. It is learning a little bit more about yourself and who your allies are and what your capacity for influence is. We couldn't have designed this Northstar program without that co-evaluation, without that AP digital research, where so many of you told me your actual real lived experience on the ground. And let's face it, the job has changed. Since lockdown, over the last few years, the job has changed, and APs are doing so much of the heavy lifting of culture change in organizations. But hey, we'd love to hear from you. We want to know what your questions are. Great to see so many people joining us. In terms of practicalities, we're hoping to recruit 20 people to the program. We know that might take a little time. It's a tough time of year, really, isn't it, to get people to be thinking about doing something new. But yeah, we'd love to know what you think and what you want to know.
Lovely. What I'm going to do, Lou, is I'm going to drop in the link for just a little blog post which tells you a little bit more about the program and also the application process. And we are keeping it a small cohort. In fact, we're keeping it 2 small cohorts, shall I say. So our day 2, which is face-to-face, we're going for 2 really small cohorts. So that's really deliberate to build relationships, to really give everybody an opportunity to practice in a really safe space.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. This is really about you taking flight now.
Mixing metaphors there. So we've got our skylarks in there as well. Lovely.
Skylarks, yeah. So the whole, I mean, I know that I see the people who are here. So many of you are involved in, different aspects of the program, everyone a little bit different. It's been incredibly ambitious this year, but it's almost like providing, what we want to do is just, we recognize that being an advanced practitioner that takes a lot of self-awareness. It takes time to develop. You can't just step into it, because advanced practitioners so deeply know the culture of their organizations, the culture of the sector. They know teaching, they know coaching. I mean, it's an incredibly skilled role. And it's so interesting to watch people who maybe come to us for the first time on Constellation B, very focused on getting it right, on the Tyler et al. Research from 2017, still incredibly useful there as people want to understand the nuts and bolts of advanced practice, quality improvement. That might be their first experience on a quality team. And then actually just seeing that growth in confidence, self-awareness, influence, leadership skills, getting involved in research. It's a great springboard for anyone's career, really is. You've not got any questions. What's occurring? Are we giving you all the answers here? Because I think we're being quite philosophical and, not nuts and boltsy.
I'm just thinking also as you're talking, so this particular program is probably the other end of the spectrum. So rather than for advanced practitioners starting on that journey, this one's definitely aimed at those who have been on that journey for a while, are now looking for that sort of that next challenge, taking up the skills, the research base, the knowledge, the know-how to that step further, and really intentionally and with intent supporting and designing quite a bespoke it's not even a program, it's a bespoke support package for the advanced practitioners they're working with, for those practitioners who are really, like Lou said, grappling with quite a lot of, anxiety, this changing environment, the bolts and nitty gritty of teaching and learning, supporting colleagues, all the realities around Ofsted and, auditing, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But we're probably looking at that, so that those who are further on that journey.
Absolutely. This takes an awful lot of intelligence and understanding of the sector. And what we've pulled together in PD1 is loads of stuff to be able to help you really reflect on that. Bridget's asking, will we be publishing the research found? The co-evaluation report is already published, Bridget, and I'm sure Joss will drop the link in there. That came out only a couple of weeks ago. It's a great read, so we absolutely recommend it. The AP Digital online research is that's due to be published. It's just being pulled together into, it's graphic design, needs sign off from ETF, and then we can go with that, and we will share that with you. Northstar, we have the dates already. It runs from January to March, so it's a short, intense program. The dates for the training, PD1 you do in your own time, but have to do before the PD2, otherwise you're just not going to make the most of the day. PD2 is either a full day in Birmingham on the 26th of Jan or a full day in Birmingham on the 3rd of February. And then PD3 is all day online on the 10th of February. Obviously, if the situation changes in public health terms, we will take those physical days online. And I'm pretty sure that we do a good job online. In terms of maybe an implicit question about capacity, it's not just about being free for those times, and we need to get away from that. We need to get away from the sort of thinking where, like, oh, it's a day, then it's just a day. It isn't a day. This is you completely immersing yourself in the theory and research around advanced practice, coming along, doing the day, doing the other day, and then taking it into your organization. So you will need the wriggle room. You will need the gatekeepers to get out of the way in order for you to actually then work with new advanced practitioners or advanced practitioners who haven't been trained. So, and the program that you will need time to put that program together. We're not giving you a scheme of work because we don't know what it's like in your organization, what's needed there. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, Joss, who might be interested in the program. She's got a particular interest in sustainability. So she was looking at actually taking our stuff, doing the Northstar experience and developing a program for APs, which is around, APs as sustainability change agents, not just as change agents. So you'll put your own flavor on it and you will have KPIs around that. Is it 4?
Yeah, that's right, Lou. So as everybody knows, the programme is funded by the Education and Training Foundation. that a DFE are particularly keen on reach. So one thing they're very interested in is everybody who comes on program will be working with another 3 to 4 advanced practitioners. That's a given. How you work with them is going to be something which you decide. Yeah, so it could be, like Lou said, you take some of the content from PD1, which is curated, or you really focus on an interest like sustainability, or maybe it's intersectionality, whatever it may be, and you develop and create that program. You will also be supported, because it is such a tight window from January to the end of March, by an experienced mentor. And all of our mentors, we've got a team of 4, and all of them are currently and have undertaken thinking environment training. And that's quite deliberate. That's an investment on our part. So you're working with people who are from within the sector, your mentors, and really up to date with their facilitative skill set as well, and can support you in that journey. I think that's a brilliant opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Just popping that in the chat. The mentors are just thinking about, the mentors have all been through the program as well. They are all APs or former APs. And when I say former APs, that's because they've gone into leadership, who are deeply embedded in this program, who have been involved in most cases since year 1, even if they're not involved anymore. So it's people who know, people who are still working in the sector, and you've got time with them to be able to develop your thinking environment practice, and also to be able to develop your strategy. So yeah, it is a real stepping up opportunity, like deeply stepping into leadership and facilitation of the role. And we've tried to do this every year. Every year we've tried to build on for the next year, in order to provide, still provide that entry point, that sort of steady and safe, Constellation B entry point, or coming to a CPD event entry point. But in the way that Skylarks is pushing you to do your own events, this is pushing you to do your own AP training. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So after the training, the mentor would really be able to support you, but you would still be having all of the support from the constellations as well. So you would still have that network of APs to be able to, support your initiatives. And while it's over at the end of March, of course, we don't know what will happen next year, but we do hope that AP Connect will continue. And if it does, it'll be another stretch. There'll be another stretch in there.
Yeah, and absolutely. I'm just thinking Bridget's point around support. So again, as you'd probably expect, we will have a Northstar channel set up on Slack as well for the community of 20 Northstarers. And that again is another form of support.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So we've got 4 more minutes. We don't want to, keep you too long, but is there anything else you want to ask?
I'm flicking between screens here, so just in case you see my head going that way, just checking out chat.
In terms of selection, there will be a selection process. This is not the point at which, somebody who's new to advanced practice comes in and thinks, oh, I'll do this. You have to have been immersed yourself in advanced practice to be able to teach others. That doesn't have to be like for a huge amount of time. It's not about longevity, but it's really about you being in a position to do something with this training. So the selection process the application process will be asking you that. We'll want to know, what you're going to do with it, really.
Yeah, and we have kept the application process very short and sweet. Yeah, there's something like 4 or 5 questions. Mainly closed, just make sure you can commit, and then just a little tiny personal statement, which is really unpicking where your thinking and your vision is for the program.
Yeah, absolutely. Naomi's asking if there's wiggle room on the application deadline.
Yeah, absolutely, Naomi. So we launched the first round, which is what we call the first round, and we are closing that you're absolutely right, on Friday. Wow, 17th already, gosh. And then we're going to open again, literally will open, and round 2 will launch on Friday as well. And we're going to keep that open till probably about, I would say, I think it's the 20th of January. Yeah, but we'll update that on the application form. The links exactly the same. So yes, there is wriggle room.
Yeah, and keep talking to us. We imagine that probably, I mean, there's nobody here on this call we can't see who's on the call, but we can see who's commenting. There's nobody we don't know, that we've not had any sort of engagement with. It would be, not that we're not welcoming people we don't know, but it was more, you know us, talk to us is all I'm trying to say. You know us, talk to us. If you've not had a chance to get the application in, just let us know. If you're interested, we can sort of pencil, in a space there. We're not saying we're only accepting our mates, if anybody's listening to this. It's not that. But this, it's a step further, isn't it? So you've got to have taken the first step, and you all have.
Fabulous.
Anything else that anybody wants to ask us? Joss, anything you want to add? What have we missed?
So you've got your mentor support in there. We are a 3-month program, officially closing at the end of March for Northstar, but with a little bit of wriggle room, as there normally is. It is exciting. It is a big commitment, but it's an incredibly exciting opportunity, and it's deliberately a small cohort for that very purpose. The only other thing to add is we also have ETF have commissioned an evaluation of this year's programme, and again, the Northstar will feature in that as well. So you may be involved in some kind of evaluation with the evaluation team. I'll drop in the link again, so you've got the blog post for the application, etc. And officially, round 1 closes Friday, but we open straight away again, so you've got a little bit of space. Yeah, just have a think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course, Helen. And think about, when you're asking for buy-in, think about, what do you mean by that? We use that word and don't necessarily deconstruct what we mean by this. Helen, where is your influence? Who are the people? Have a real think about who you can approach first, what space you need, what exactly is it that you want people to agree to? Because what you might find is we're sometimes disappointed because we don't get wholehearted buy-in. We get agreement to run with it, and then we wish that the manager was more interested or more invested. Don't worry about that right now. That can be part of what we work on together. Buy-in just means somebody to say yes. Yes, you can have enough space to be able to make this happen. And Bridget's asking where the application form is again. Joss, do you want to?
I've just dropped the link in. So if you just pick up that link, you can find it in that blog post. And I'll just drop in the Education Training Foundation link as well. So lots of different places.
Yeah, brilliant. So yeah, good luck with that, Helen. And you know where we are as a community if you want any support with that. Lovely to see you all.
Oh, multitasking, it's a right lark, isn't it? There we go.
What I will say, just something I wanted to say before we finish is we don't have our KPI is around getting people on through the program. We don't. And then it's also sort of a bit about your KPIs, if that makes sense. It's like pyramid selling, isn't it? You've got to get your 4, we claim your 4, But we don't have a KPI around organizations, which means that if you can make a case for having 2 people within an organization, if you've got the capacity for that, we always train 2-handed, don't we, Joss? And we find that to be, just really, really helpful. So we would not say no to 2 people applying within an organization. So just bear that in mind.
Absolutely. And it really does. There's something very powerful in being able to work with another colleague.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, you know how to find us. We're not a million miles away. So if anything else comes up for you, just ask away. If you want to ask in Slack, then other people will be able to see it. And we look forward to, very hopefully, that we'll be receiving your applications. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Thanks, everyone.
Bye for now.